Hi, I'm Batsheva Frankel from Overthrowing Education, a part of the Education Podcast Network, just like the show you're listening to now. Shows on the network are individually owned, and opinions expressed may not reflect others. Find other interesting education podcasts at edupodcastnetwork.com.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another great episode of My EdTech Life. Thank you so much for joining us on this wonderful Tuesday evening. As always, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for your continual support. Thank you so much for all the likes, the follows, the shares, just for everything, guys. I really appreciate all those people that I've been able to connect with recently, too, as well. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for making My EdTech Life what it is today. We do what we do for you because obviously we want to bring you the best of the best, and in conversations, obviously in practitioners, in amazing educators, and people that are doing some amazing things to share also with our educators and a way to improve our education space daily. So thank you so much for joining us. And today I have the honor and the pleasure of having one of my favorite guests on the show. I am so excited to have Jamie Donnelly on the show this evening. Jamie, how are you this evening?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me again, Franz. I know it's been a little while. Excited to share.
Well, I'm excited for you to be here. And I must add, and I'm going to throw this out there. I know this is unexpected, but I definitely want to give you thanks because of you believing in me and giving me a chance in this space and giving me so many opportunities when I never expected them. And just out of the kindness of your heart, I know I saw you at TCEA and I gave you a great big hug because of you and finding those people and giving us all a chance in this space. Thank you. I really appreciate everything that you've done, not only for me, but for the countless educators that are out there. So I just wanted to start off saying that.
Thank you. That means a lot. It was so funny because when you came up to me, we were in the middle of an event and I just wanted to sit there and talk. And I was like, oh, let's chat. And I was like, oh, I guess I can't. Right. I have responsibilities right now. So I apologize for that. But I will tell you, watching everything you've done in all these years of your investment into the ed tech realm is just amazing to see my ed tech life just flourishing. And it's funny is like you were kind of giving me insight before this ever came to be. I remember us chatting. My daughters were in gymnastics and I'm out in the car talking to you. And we're talking like brainstorming ideas about where you think you're going and what you have planned. And I mean, just to see how this has all turned out has been amazing.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much. And we definitely thank you, Kevin. I want to give Kevin a shout out too, who's joining us on LinkedIn. Kevin, thank you so much for being part of the show today. Well, Jamie, let's just go ahead and get started. And, for our audience members, and I know that this may be very hard, but, I know that you have been probably at every single conference to date. And of course, there'll be many that'll be coming. So I know that people know or at least have heard of you, but there may be some that will be joining us today or watching our podcast for the first time and may not be familiar with the work that you're currently doing. And maybe just to get to know you a little bit more, I want them to connect. So if you can give us a little brief introduction, your context in education, that would be wonderful.
Yeah, for sure. So I was a math teacher. I loved being a math teacher. Ended up going into instructional technology later. I'm supporting teachers all over the district in multiple different subjects and grade levels. Um, and really just loved immersive technology from the get go. Was exposed early on, several years ago. And then the idea was what else is out there. So it's been something that I never stop finding what else is out there. There's always something else out there. And I think that part to me has been a really cool journey to see how immersive technology, augmented and virtual reality has continued to grow and the potential in education. So I typically get bored. I want to say after so many years, I'm like, okay, I've accomplished what I wanted to accomplish. It's time to move on. And immersive technology has been one of those things with AR and VR that's just always maintained my interest. And and the enthusiasm has just continued to grow through the years.
Yes, absolutely. And this takes me back to 2018 when I went to TCA and then of course discovered Merge and then discovered the AR, VR, and EDU chats and hanging out with everybody such as Rochelle and David Lockett and Michael and all of just those chats that we had for many months and years. And it was just very fruitful in getting to connect with so many amazing educators. And then, of course, like you mentioned, there was always something new. Every week, you brought something to the table that we had never seen before, and maybe some things that maybe we never thought might be able to translate or transfer into the classrooms. But with our collective minds together, just thinking, hey, check this out and check out these possibilities, and just really pushing these apps to the point where maybe we try to break them in the sense of really pushing them to the limits and seeing what they can do was definitely something that was wonderful and rewarding. And very much like you, I am the very same way where I'm always looking and obviously to share, and bringing that into this space. And one of the great things that I know that you have done has just been a great connector, not only of people, but a great connector of apps with educators to bring into the classrooms and also helping educators be informed of the tech that is out there. So let's talk a little bit about that. I know that, like I said, you have so many years of experience, you have books out, obviously you have your blog and your page, and you're very involved bringing the AR VR into the classrooms and into teachers hands in a very fun way. I know that you do the Christmas 12 days of Christmas, and then you also do, which was the other one that you do? Oh my gosh, I went blank. The
31 days of AR, VR, and
There you
EDU.
go. There you go, 31 days. Because I mean, it's just continuous, but I love that you do it in such a way that it's very low barrier to entry, ways for teachers to experiment and try those things out. So I wanna ask you, with your experience, when you first immersed yourself into this technology and just really started diving in and seeing more of what it's about. What is it about that you now uh, bring it into our space? Like, what are some of the things that you're seeing that this might be very helpful for many teachers that are just right now kind of like, oh, that might be a little too much. What would you say to them just to put them at ease?
Yeah, I think, honestly, when you're looking at augmented and virtual reality, I think there's still a lot of confusion about the technology. Um, Many times it's teachers that feel like they're just not tech savvy enough, or, concerned about things going wrong in the classroom with any technology that's pretty much guaranteed. I think there's a lot of times that teachers just are not fully equipped, with the training and the resources. And I think that that is very much a barrier for what they feel like, this is not my path here. I need to stick to what's already written for me, what's already there available, what is something I've done repetitively over the years. And oftentimes, immersive technology, so AR, VR, um, is really seen as kind of you know, an innovative type technology that only those innovative teachers really approach. And I think that we're thinking about this all wrong because the technology that's available to us is a simple technology. It does not require a lot of tech savviness. And it really can be empowering to our students to bring this kind of into the classroom without limiting a teacher to feel like they have to know everything because they don't. It's impossible. None of us know it all, and really empowering our students to take this kind of technology and run with it.
Absolutely. And you hit on a couple of things there, Jamie, as they resonates with me and with my own journey when I first, you know, uh, got my hands on a merge cube and wanting to put it into a classroom. Obviously, there was a couple of obstacles, a little barriers, here and there. Obviously, not all my students had a device, but just figuring out how to, just share my screen and finding creative ways of really bringing the tech and not, just feeling defeated in a sense. It really caused me to experiment because I felt that it was something that would really highly engage my students and just really bring a wonderful learning experience to them and engineer it in that way where it's something that is memorable to them. And those are some of the things that I remember there, but also on the teacher side, like you mentioned, and my friend Kevin here, who's in the chat also, he always said one of his things, he says that it's okay to not know everything, but I think it's just great to just simply try. And now I think that many apps, have really uh, found a way into the classroom now through Chromebooks, which, and being able to get simulations and bring things to life that we didn't have before many years ago to kind of ease teachers into it. So I want to ask you from your experience and obviously countless trainings that you do, and then you also visit campuses. And remember you visiting here, our local region center, where you did a phenomenal immersive presentation that was great. That it was really, everybody was engaged. But in your eyes, what does teachers implementing immersive learning, the AR, VR in the classroom, what would be some of the benefits for their students to try this tech out?
I mean, there's tons of benefits. I think that it really all depends on your goals. I think when they're considering the benefit, they need to identify what exactly are they trying to accomplish. Um, and oftentimes that's a forgotten piece of all of this, right? Like they're just excited about the technology, so they jump right in and say, "Okay, let's go in," and they hit a bunch of barriers along the way. Um, and the reason being is because there wasn't a thought through plan in this process too. And I think that is part of that implementation that needs to take place, being prepared with the resources, being able to say, I have all of the details I need to be able to bring my students and include them in this process. So also, what am I trying to accomplish here? Am I just teaching them tech? Or is my goal for them to take this content and really deepen their understanding of it? So there are things within immersive technology. I mean, you can go in, walk into using virtual reality, walk into a science lab and practice, some of the processes, the safety processes and procedures that need to be, taken into consideration. Or you can use augmented reality and create explosions and have, the simulated lab experiences there sitting right on your desk in the real world, right? So you have these different ways of engaging with the content that is really all dependent on what your students need, where their interests lie, where they may have some barriers. Even as a classroom teacher, I could recognize I don't teach this real well. Year after year, I find this is a very hard thing for me to teach, and my students have a hard time getting it. Use those types of objectives that are difficult for your students, the concepts, and then bring that into your goal setting. And then you can measure it, right? Then you could say, okay, we brought this new resource in, and now this resource has helped in X, Y, and Z. But, being able to recognize that we're not just using it for the fun aspect of it, although it is fun, but you have the power behind the purpose of why you're using this technology.
Yeah, absolutely. And a couple of things that I want to touch on is, and at least this was my perspective. I know that, for the longest time I would always see, our K-12 space be, up in the forefront as far as integrating technology with so many applications that are out there, just being very forward thinking. Then I kind of noticed that for some reason, that higher ed took this leap also now where they're really using, a lot of immersive technologies. You've got the metaverse, you've got Dr. Messina Morris, who also has been on the show, and they've been able to do some wonderful stuff, at Morehouse College. And now you've got a lot of colleges that have their digital twins and students at that level being immersed and being part of the learning process and part of the creative process. And there's a lot of wonderful gains that they've been making. And for K-12, it just seems like there's a couple a little bit more barriers there, as far as, maybe the technologies, obviously internet access and some of those things. What are some of the ways that maybe we can start off and, so we don't always make that excuse of like, well, we can't because we don't have access to this or we don't have access to that. what are some ways that we can kind of mitigate that just so we can give our students the opportunity to experience this technology and the learning?
Yeah. I always recommend starting with the resources you have. That is a usually a big stumbling block financially, right? So budget wise, well, I don't have that tech, so therefore I can't do those things. And the beauty of this technology is there's tons of resources we all have at our fingertips already. We're just not leveraging them. So you don't need to go out and buy a headset in order to experience all immersive tech. Oftentimes, that's one of the last things I would recommend, depending on the situation. We go back to their goals. What is your goal here? So, as they're trying to reach those goals, typically it's starting with what resources are available to you today that you already know how to use. There's no now new learning curve in that. So, you can go on your computer and you can have these immersive experiences. You can go on your iPads or your phone and you can see all of these experiences here. So there are incredible things out there. And by just leveraging the devices you already have available, really kind of eliminate the process of saying, but I don't have that, therefore I can't do it. And some of the other things is cost for the resources. So if you have the device, now how do you purchase? And oftentimes there is fees associated. So I always recommend starting with what is out there that is free, what is available to you at no cost, and what is something that you can bring to the classroom today. Meaning, I don't have to go through this whole lesson plan and create everything from scratch, recreate the wheel, but instead, all of it's been done for me. The lesson plans are laid out. I'm kind of leading up to something if you can catch this, Fonz, but the lesson plans are there. The step-by-step instructions are there. I mean, oftentimes in my own blog, that's how I want to present the material. This is exactly what you can anticipate to use it for. Here's some ideas, but then here's how you put it into practice. Here's the step-by-step instructions. So, but one of my really favorite tools to share is the Verizon Innovative Learning HQ. In their portal on that platform, which is completely free, you have a ton of augmented and virtual reality applications. And that particular portal isn't just, oh, great, some cool tools on here. They literally give you step by step instructions for every one of them. How do I bring my kids in? Well, step by step instructions for that. Where do I download this app? Step by step instructions for that. What kind of devices do I have and which one tools should I be using? Directions all listed out for you. Where can I learn more for professional development? All the courses completely free. I created a course with Digital Promise for this platform. I got to put in an augmented reality course and a virtual reality course, and all of it being completely free for somebody to go through. I never get to say that. I don't ever get to tell people, hey, free course out there. It's always behind a pay window. And in this case, we have a great opportunity to invite teachers in to use something that has everything that they need to get started.
That's wonderful. And we're going to get into that right now, but I do want to also hit some of the comments that we see here as well. With Kevin, one of the comments that I love that he said, starting small is better than not starting at all. And, again, going back to that mentality of like, well, no, I don't feel comfortable. I may not know it. But just starting, one bite at a time. How they say, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. So just, do it a little bit at a time and just get comfortable with it. And that's really, my mentality when I was in the classroom and coming back so excited and wanting to try new things. It was like, okay, what can I do right now with what I have? And just really learning how to improvise, adapt, and overcome. But really with the goal in mind of adding to the lesson, not doing it just like, hey, check out what I learned and I just want to show you what I learned over there, but really tying it to the lesson. But most importantly, for me, it was all about engineering that learning experience for the students that takes them from that one level of, okay, I'm coloring a cell to, wow, I can walk around a cell and actually see what this looks like either through the merge cube or even like Quiver Vision with their great worksheets that they have. And again, like you mentioned, there's so many resources that are out there. And oftentimes also the excuse of, well, I don't have time. I don't have the money for the training. And obviously, there's always something that you have to pay or a fee. But I'm glad that you mentioned what Verizon is doing. And I mean, that's what we're going to be talking about today because as the technology continues to change and move forward, we also need to make sure that our teachers are looking into this and seeing how they can prepare our future leaders as well. So let's go ahead and check this out, Jamie. And you can tell us a little bit more about the lesson that you created and what we can find here through Verizon.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I just logged in. So I just came to verizon.com/ myedtechlife and I was able to sign up. I just used the authentication method of using Google, but they have a lot of different options there to choose from, which is nice. And I came in to hear this first page is kind of what's featured, what's available, but then it goes into, of course, your professional development options. Actually, here are the two courses that I've saved over here that I, designed and wrote and honestly just poured into. My goal is that somebody can have no knowledge and walk away actually using the technology and putting it into practice. And also I will point out there's micro credentials for free with Digital Promise on that as well. So you can even extend it further and get the micro credential for it, which is super cool. So, I have things like CoSpace is in there, the Merge Cube's in there. There's so much that could be found inside of the courses too. And then, you have all of these different resources, lesson plans. I mean, that to me is the key. I can't tell you how many times I get the kickback of like, I don't even know where to start, but you don't need to know where to start because now it's all here. You can come into the apps and you can see all the different resources that they have. I really like this one. It really goes through understanding what is emerging technologies. When we talk about immersive tech, what exactly do we mean by augmented and virtual reality? And you can experience this on your phone, on a tablet, on a computer, and it's web based. So you can go in and basically use this with your students and introduce them to these topics and actually play. They have so many different ones. I'm going to focus on one in particular. Being a former math teacher, this one's like my new fave.
Yes, I've been a math teacher myself too as well. I was like, well, I'm definitely always looking for something for to spice things up for our math teachers as well. So I'm definitely looking forward to this.
Yes, it's super cool. Okay. So there's so many here though that you can go into. Again, you can look. This is a web app. So if you're only using Chromebooks in your classroom, this is perfect. You don't necessarily have to have a headset to be able to experience this or a high-end AR device. So or using your phone to be able to experience it. So as you're going through and identifying like, okay, this is a virtual reality app, which headsets can I use? It lists them out, let you know if you're using this device, how to get started. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the McGraw Hill app. Do you want me to go ahead and just go right into it, Fawn?
Yes, please.
Okay. So, and I don't know who exactly is on right now, but when you keep talking about Kevin, which Kevin am I talking about?
Oh, this is Kevin Doherty who's on
Okay.
here.
All right. So we have a Kevin Chaja that was actually at the immersive experience at ISTE with me. And so this was one of our stations. And it just was one of those areas that I love sharing because for years I would get the question, what math resources are out there in immersive tech? And as a math teacher, how sad was it that it was like, they're really not good. They're just really not good. And for the first time, I actually got to experience an app that really blew my mind. I had fun. I was engaged. I was getting concepts, even as a math teacher, that I was like putting two and two together. That I was like, that's brilliant. Sometimes we go through the practices of things, we've memorized things, but we don't always have the strong foundation. That is what the McGraw Hill app has done. And I'm going to show a little demo video here just so you can get a piece of what this looks like here. Um, so I'm just demonstrating some of the apps that they have, or the app that they have in here on the math side. So you basically place your anchor and you're able then to start experiencing these different activities. I love that it all is relatable. It's like real life objects that they're using in here. Right now they're showing cross section, which is super cool. and demonstrating what is that three-dimensional shape that as you cut through it, you now can create that two-dimensional shape. So it kind of shows you can change your different angles of battery. I mean, instead of seeing, okay, this is these different 3D objects that we have to use these certain terms for, and this is all we can talk about it as. But instead, they're seeing these practical application of real life. They have an assessment piece for whatever they're learning to make sure you're getting. And I just saw it. I just played with it. I just experienced it. So now I can actually put that into practice in the assessment piece. How do you like
Yes. I
response?
this
What
is
do
what I'm loving. I'm loving again, making the math relevant, making those connections, real world objects. As we know, at least myself growing up, math was just simply on that flat paper. And then of course even geometry, we're dealing with shapes, but none of my teachers used any manipulatives at all. And right now what I'm loving that I saw right there are the manipulatives, being able to do that because that's something that our content math specialists at our district highly pushes for, that teachers make the math visual and they learn it in this fashion, doing the concrete first, obviously manipulating, they do the pictorial, and then that helps lead them to make some better gains as they work with it abstract. So I'm really seeing something that is wonderful here that can be used in the classroom immediately. And to top it all off, like you said, it's free. And I always have this saying as an educator, if it's free, it's for me.
That's awesome. Well, I can say the same because I love sharing free stuff because oftentimes I have to say, sorry, there is a fee, there is a subscription, there is something that we have to have with this. Sorry. But we get a chance to be able to go in and um, explore a tool that not only is free to you and you don't have to figure it out on your own. You can go in and you can then have the step by step guidance inside of the Verizon Innovative Learning HQ. And you also have all the resources. They even have, like in their lesson plans, activities that extend the lesson. So, yes, learning this in augmented and virtual reality is important. It's favorable, students engage in it, but when you can then turn that into this is an extension, here's the activities our classrooms can do, here's the individual work, here is helping to support diverse learners. And so to be able to extend that out and provide that kind of access on all of these tools is just phenomenal.
And this is wonderful. And this is such a great move by Verizon in that sense of being able to put this together. And, for yourself who presents, you're very well known and you present nationally and I know globally too as well. But to be able to share and like you said, always giving back to educators, a platform that breaks down the apps. And obviously I love the way they break it down too, as far as what device or devices they can be used on. That is wonderful. And then on top of that, the lesson planning. And as we know, for teachers having to invent the wheel, coming up with a new lesson plan and thinking like, okay, great, like that's more work for me. But the fact that it's provided for you and the teacher can adapt that lesson to meet the needs of their particular students in any type of classroom. And if there may be some students that may need additional supports, but you're not having to reinvent the wheel. And I think that that's something that is amazing. And especially with math, being something that can be very abstract, making it visual can definitely have a big plus side for the students to make those gains as they continue to go on through, K through 12, building up those skills and then obviously leading up to higher ed. So, guys, please make sure that you check out these resources. You can go to verizon.com/forward slash my edtech life. And then that way you can check out these amazing resources. So, Jamie, let's talk a little bit about this. I just want to know, just the process behind this. I know that you do countless trainings, and then obviously you're working with Verizon, and you have this heart of just giving back to the educator community, for yourself, as many times as you've presented and, touched so many people in some amazing ways by bringing in this tech, not only this tech, but just the way that you really love on us as a community. being this education leader in the AR/VR space, what does this work mean to you, like wholeheartedly?
Yeah, I think that's actually a really important question. I think it's empowering. It's personalized learning for our students. Um, it gives them not just the resources that they're going to need for the future, but it's bringing them into the mix of learning, right? It's giving them a way to learn that their brain functions at. I tell stories about my own daughter, and spatial learning is absolutely necessary for her to be able to understand some of these concepts. So, not just a like to have, it's a need to have. And so, to be able to equip our teachers and our students in the future for, opening up how they can learn and understand these concepts in a way that really would have been impossible or dangerous, otherwise. I think that that's why I'm passionate about sharing these things. I think it's really cool. Verizon's initiative is Verizon Citizen, and their goal is to close the digital divide. And I think that that is, that certainly aligns with what I share all the time is that understanding, like you said, we're not going to eat this elephant at once, but there are going to be things that we can move towards, and it's going to be constantly growth. And like in education altogether, that's always what we're working for. We're trying to bring the best of the best to our students. And this has just been, one of those things that just align well. I do want to point out one thing, because I talked about the aspect, but they did just release social studies in there as well, and same, and they have the Boston Massacre and the Viking longship that they went through. And those are two things that were just released like in the past few weeks, and they're getting ready to release their science curriculum as well. So, again, this is not something that's stopping. The momentum of how our publishers like McGraw Hill is partnering with companies like Verizon to be able to produce content for our students and that be engaging for them in every activity of what they learn. I mean, that's the future. That's where we're headed.
Absolutely. And I agree with you. And I applaud McGraw Hill for the work that they're doing and seeing how the tech space is moving forward, seeing not only a way, like you said, to provide additional supports for any students in their learning and enhancing that learning experience, no matter what level, to be able to take this and at the same time preparing our students for what they will continue to see K through 12 and what will be coming after K 12. So I think that this is something wonderful. It's a great initiative by McGraw Hill and also by Verizon and being able to do this. And obviously finding some amazing, passionate, wonderful, loving educators like yourself to be part of this and to be able to share this platform with everybody out there. So that way we remove that barrier of entry and can ease the teachers into it and they can feel comfortable. And like I always say, just get clicky with it, have some fun. There's nothing you can break, but the benefits will definitely be great. I wanted to come back here to a comment that Kevin put up here. Like you were talking about, it's all
Yeah.
about engaging, equipping, empowering every learner. And that seems to be the tone of today's conversation, thanks to obviously AR/VR and the work that Verizon and McGraw Hill are doing here. Big shout out here to also Tim Cavey, Teachers on Fire, who's joining us. Some cool possibilities here around surface area and volumes. A lot of former math
Mhm.
teachers in here, and Tanya as well. She is excited. Tanya Gonzalez, that she's creating her free account right now. So thank you guys. I appreciate all the love in the chat. Well, Jamie, it's just been an amazing and wonderful conversation. Thank you so much for coming on this evening and really sharing your heart, sharing your passion, and sharing this amazing platform for all educators out there to go ahead and jump in and try it out, enhance that learning experience. And most importantly, it's free, guys. It is completely free. But Jamie, before we go, as you know, we always like to end the show with the following three questions. And I might add that this segment also is sponsored by Along.Care, who offers mental health support and personalized for every student. So you may be asking yourself, what is Alongside? will alongside meets the students where they are with a tier one support and does not place additional burdens on faculty and staff. So if you want to learn more about Alongside, go to alongside.care and check them out. So thank you, Alongside, for being part of the My Ed Tech Life family. So, Jamie, are you ready for your last three questions?
I am. I
All
think.
right. All right. Here we go. All right. Question number one. In the current state of education, and then just again, as a little note here, we need to remember that kryptonite is what made Superman weak. That was his weakness. So, in this case, I want to ask in the current state of education, what would you say is your current edu kryptonite?
Oh my gosh. Memorizing. I am terrible with remembering anything, to be honest with you. I have to have everything written down. I have to have constant reminders. That's something for me that my brain just doesn't function that way. So I would say when it comes to education, if it is about a sit and get and memorizing, that was my kryptonite. I think that's why I love sharing what we do in AR, VR because it doesn't, you're interacting, you're engaged, you're not having to memorize anything, you're going in full force and just enjoying the learning. So, yeah,
Perfect.
recommend.
All right, good, good one, good one. All right, question number two is if you could have a billboard with anything on it, what would it be and why?
Hmm. Oh, that's a hard one, Fonz. um, I probably would say a joke. I probably have something funny there, which I would have to think about because I can't even think of a joke.
All right. No worries, my friend. I know I caught you off guard there, but at least what I do know is that we'll definitely find something funny on that billboard. And of course, and it suits you well, Jamie, because honestly, with the way that you are, you definitely bring joy and you bring a smile to all of us and all throughout your presentations and in everything that you do. So I can definitely see that being a wonderful, wonderful billboard. But I'm going to hold you to this if you can once on socials and you remember something that you'd like to put on your billboard, please tweet it out, or exit out, or I don't even know what we're calling it now. But
Yeah.
so just pop it in there and that would be great. That way we can see what your billboard would say.
Okay.
All right. Last question. Hopefully this one doesn't catch you off guard. I did kind of change it up a bit. But again, this is the last question. Aside from what you currently do,
Yeah.
if you could have one of your hobbies or one of your favorite activities turn into a full-time profession, what would it be?
I would love to have an immersive playground forever. Like a place for kids to come and play. Um, I actually considered doing some sort of like renting out a space in my town and having kind of virtual reality headsets as like a gamer arcade. Um, and at the time, it just didn't make sense. I need more of me available for something like that. But I think it'd be super cool to have a space that everybody can come interact in and engage and bring students interest and parties. And so I just think, if it didn't require any extra work, that would be a blast.
Perfect. Well, wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Jamie, for again being here this evening and sharing your passion, your love, your knowledge, and also for sharing these amazing resources and the great work that Verizon is doing. And of course, with McGraw Hill and the work that you're doing also in the platform with the lessons and the professional development, the lesson plans that are there. So thank you so much for sharing. And guys, please make sure that you do go check it out. Just go to verizon.com/my edtech life and you can go ahead and check out all those amazing resources. Get your free account, get some PD, get some knowledge, try out some apps, get clicky with it, see how you can improvise, you can adapt those lessons, see how you can overcome some of the barriers that you thought you had, or maybe that sometimes we may place on ourselves, and how we can go ahead and overcome that with some of the tools that are readily available for you here at verizon.com/myedtechlife. So thank you, Jamie. Thank you, everybody in the chat. I really appreciate all the love. Kevin, Tanya, Tim Cavey, thank you so much. I know we had Nick Wright also who showed up here on LinkedIn. Thank you guys for all the love. I appreciate it. And Jamie, before I wrap up here again, can you please tell our audience members if they are interested in, connecting with you in some way, shape, or form, what would be the best way that they can go ahead and make that connection with you?
Yeah, sure. I'm at arvredu.com. So, oh, awesome, Kevin. Thank you. Um, yeah, so if you want to find me on the website, I have over 200 immersive technology blogs there, covering all education application. So lots of ideas. That's going to be growing. Guess what? 31 days of AR, VR, and EDU is not happening anymore. And either is the Christmas event. I'm going to switch it over to weekly blogs. So that's happening actually this month.
Ooh.
So that's coming very, very, very soon. And that will just be a way to take in a little at a time. When we talked about eating that elephant, I was giving everybody an elephant every day. I said, you know what? I can't do that anymore. People need to, ingest this slowly. So we're going to have it spread out throughout the year and bring in people like you, Fonz, to come in and share your knowledge and expertise and share it out as well. So I'm excited.
Perfect. So, guys, it's down there. Make sure you check it out. Contact Jamie through arvredu.com. And again, for today's resources and the wonderful platform, again, if you're interested and you're ready to dive in, ready to experiment, or maybe even if it's just to dip your toes into some immersive technology, make sure you check out that link below, verizon.com/myedtechlife. So, guys, thank you so much again, as always, for all the love, all the support. Thank you so much for being with us for 213 episodes. From the bottom of my heart, you guys are the reason that I do this. You guys just really pump me up. And the fact that we get to bring some amazing educators, creators to come on here and to share their heart with you and their practice. So again, it's a labor of love. It really is. So thank you so much, everybody, for all that support. And if you want to check out this amazing episode and the other 212 amazing episodes with wonderful educators and creators, make sure that you visit our website at myedtech.life, myedtech.life, where you can check out this amazing episode and other amazing episodes where you can take out some of those knowledge nuggets from those episodes, put them into your practice, sprinkle them onto what you are already doing great. And also, guys, if you would love to support our mission of connecting educators and creators one show at a time, visit our website too as well, where we do have a merch store. So you can pick up yourself a cap, you can pick up a shirt, and all of that goes back to the show. So we can bring you some amazing, amazing shows, bring you amazing conversations and wonderful educators that you can connect with. So as always, from the bottom of my heart, thank you. And my friends, don't forget, until next time, stay techie.